Today we're going to start our review video for Chapter 5, Section 8. So that's Section 5.8. And as always, whenever we start a new section, we start with the learning target. The learning target for today is to find and use the percent of increase or decrease. A lot of terms have to be defined before we can start here. We've got a number of them. We have to learn what percent change is. We have to learn what percent of increase, percent of decrease, what the markup, the selling price, and the discount. So let's start through each of those. And the percent of change is a ratio that compares the change in the quantity to the original amount. The change in the quantity to the original amount. The percent of increase is when the new amount is greater than the original amount. So then it would be an increase. Percent decrease is when the new amount is less than the original amount, when the value has gone down or when the number has gone down. And a markup is the amount of the purchase price of an item is increased above the price the store paid for the item. A couple more terms on the next slide. Selling price is the price a customer pays for an item, and the discount is the amount by which a regular price is discounted. Well, let's jump right in and look at some summary statements here. The first thing we want to look at is an equation that we can use all the way through. Percent of change is equal to the amount of change divided by the original amount. So to find the percent of change, we subtract the original amount, subtract to find the amount of change. We write it as a ratio. It's the amount of change over the original amount. And then we write it as a decimal. We change that decimal into a percent. So let's do one. The Nitos bought a house several years ago for $120,000. This year they sold it for $150,000. Find the percent of change. State whether the percent of change was an increase or a decrease. Well, let's find the amount of change, which would be the $150,000 that they sold it for, minus the $120,000 that they paid for it. So the amount of change, the raw amount of change was $30,000. So the percent of change is equal to $30,000 over the original price of $120,000. If I do my division here, I can, of course, just cancel off the thousands. I get 30 over 120, or 3 over 12. 3 over 12 can be reduced to 1/4, so it's a 25% change. 25% change, and it is a positive change, so it was an increase. Another problem, do this one on your own, then pause the video and come back and check to see if you get the same answer as I do. Last year, the Cedar Park Swim Club had 340 members. This year, they have 391 members. Find the percent of change, and is it an increase or a decrease? Well, 391 minus the original amount, which was 340, gives me an increase of 51. So the percent of change is equal to 51 divided by 340. I'm going to turn to my calculator to actually do that calculations. And I've got 51 divided by 340, and I come up with 15%, or I'm sorry, 0.15. In decimal form, I need to change that to percent, so that's 15% change, and it was an increase. It was an increase. All right. The next one, schools. Johnson Middle School had 240 students in it last year. This year, there were 192 students. Find the percent of change, state whether the percent of change was an increase or a decrease. So the percent of change is equal to 240 minus the 192. That's a difference of 10 would be 8, 3 would be, it's a difference of 48 students. So I'd say 48 over the original amount, which was 240. I'm actually going to use my calculator to do that. So 48 divided by 240 equals a 20 or 0.2, which is a 20% change, and it was a decrease because the number of students went down. So it was a decrease, a 20% decrease in students. Here's another problem. Please check this one. Pause the video and come back and check to see if you get the same answer I do. Megan bought a new car several years ago for $14,000. This year she sold the car for $9,100. Find the percent of change and whether it was an increase or a decrease. All right, so $14,000 was what she bought it for. She sold it for $9,100. That's a decrease of $4,900. $4,900 then, so percent of change would be equal to 4,900 divided by the original price of 14,000. So again, my calculator. And it looks like a 35% change, 35%, and since it went down, it's a negative 35% or a decrease. This was a decrease in the price. Shirts bought by a sporting goods store cost $20 per shirt. They want to mark them up 40%. What would be the selling price? So in this case, I'm going to say 40%, which is a percent of change, is equal to the original price, which is 20, and the unknown price, which would be the selling price. Selling price, I'm going to use SP for selling price. So 40% becomes 0.4. 0.4 then is equal to SP over 20. So 0.4, I'm going to multiply both sides by 20. The sale price, or the markup, not sale price, this is the markup. So 20 times 0.4 would be $8. $8 is equal to the markup. So the selling price should be the $20 original cost plus the $8 markup. They should sell them for $28 to achieve their 40% markup. Silk flowers bought by a craft store cost $10 per dozen. They want to mark them up 35%. What would be the selling price? So 35% is equal to the markup over the original cost, or the purchase price of $10. So this would be 0.35 is equal to M over 10. I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. These cancel out, leaving the markup is equal to $3.50. So the markup is $3.50. They should sell them. The selling price should be $13.50. $13.50. A computer usually sells for $1,200. This week it is on sale for 30% off. What is the sale price? I'm going to actually do this problem in two different ways. The first way I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see I'm going to calculate the discount. So I'm going to say, well, the 30% discount is equal to the amount of dollars in discount over the original price, which was $1,200. So I'm going to say 0.3 is equal to the discount over $1,200. All right. I'm going to take 1,200, multiply by both sides. 3 times 1,200 is equal to the discount. The $360 discount. So the selling price would be then the $1,200 original price minus the discount of $360. Would be an $840 sale price. So the sale price would be $840. All right, the second way I'm going to do that is I'm going to calculate the selling price right away. If I'm going to discount it by 30%, that means I'm selling it for 70% of the original price. So the 70% of the original price becomes 0.7. The selling price over the original price is my percent calculation. So I'm going to say 0.7 times 1,200 is equal to the sell price. 1,200 times 0.7. $840 becomes my sale price, 840. All right. Similar problem here, a DVD sells for $28. This week it's on sale for 20% off. What's the sale price? Well, I can say, find out what 20% of the original price is, 28. So the sale price, or the discount price over 28 is equal to 20%, or 0.2 is equal to n over 28. 28 times both sides, so it's 0.2 times 28 is equal to the discount. 28 times 0.2 would be $5.60 off. $5.60 off. The original price was 28 minus the 560 means that it's $22.40 is the sale price. Second way to do that same exact problem is to calculate the percentage of the sale price, percentage for the sale price right off. So if it's selling at a discount of 20%, that means I'm getting 80% of it. So 0.8 is equal to the sale price over the $28, which was the regular price. 28 times 0.8, multiply both sides by 28, and I get 0.8 times 28 is equal to the price. So 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 would be 16 plus 6 would be 22.4, or $22.40 is the sale price.